think we are now live.
Oh my God, they didn't catch me saying what I just said, right?
She was talking shit
No,
about.
no.
No, she wasn't. That's so funny. Okay, wait, let me go to the video. How do I do this? How do I do anything?
But I look even worse on YouTube than I do on the Zoom. Oh my God, they didn't catch me saying.
I don't know. I think that Zoom makes everybody, like when it transfers to YouTube, it makes you look better because you're just pixelated as it is.
No, but I look like more, oh, I look terrible.
I disagree. I don't think it's possible for you to look terrible, Nina. I feel like because you have a nice face, you're like, you're good.
I look like a man.
I don't think anybody's gonna ever say that to you, Nina.
I hear all the time that I sound like a man from a particular person and who used to be in the
Well, what's so bad about that? I don't know.
A man?
I think you have a very soothing voice.
Thank you.
Michael said he's actually here.
Hello, Michael. Welcome to your live drag me. I'm gonna let Shaina do the heavy lifting on this because I can't drag my own people. Look at you. Sagittarius Sun, Aquarius Moon.
Oh, that is so funny.
I can't do that to you. Libra Mars.
Oh, dang, yeah. What year? Oh, 2000. Okay. This is not a drag. This is random. Oh, wait, hold on. I need to start the timer. 1 second. Because I always forget the first time. Okay. So let me see here. Oh, I know. I'll drag Venus and Capricorn in the second house because I don't know if you want to be a sugar nanny or if you want somebody to take care of you, but like be a sugar baby, but like love is like money. Like love doesn't matter. Romance doesn't matter. It's all about that coin. It's gonna be such a like shallow, not even like a looks wise placement, but like shallow is in like a status placement. And also it's just like not a very like I feel like you want somebody who like with the Venus in the second house, right? You're like, I want one person and they're mine, right? But then Venus in Capricorn, you're not going to show that love back to them. You're not going to be like, oh, you're mine. By the way, I love you, smooches. You're going to be like, you're mine. You suck. Not really like that.
Yeah, Venus in Capricorn is tough also because like you tend to assume that the person doesn't care about you. I don't know, like how am I gonna articulate this? Yeah, you tend to assume that the person doesn't care about you, so you treat them like shit because you feel like they don't care about you.
Yeah, so you're like
your assumption of like, because what you do is that you go after these people who subconsciously you believe are a little bit out of your league. And when you're dating someone that you believe is a little bit out of your league, whether it's because of their age or their status or whatever, then you tend to feel like you're in the position of weakness and that they must not care about you as much as you care about them, because this is how your Venus plays out. It's all about power dynamics.
Yeah.
So you think that it's a power dynamic where the person doesn't care about you as much as you care about them because they're in a position of power over you. But that what that actually ends up doing is that's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true that the person that you're with doesn't care about you or doesn't care about you as much as you care about them, but you treat them as if they care about you less than you care about them. So you withhold your affection and kind of act like a dick to them.
Yeah, I feel like also it's just a thing of like Nina was saying with like the power stuff of just making sure that like you never give them as much as they give you, because then you like them more and you don't want to be vulnerable and show that you like them more than they possibly ever could, or that you might need them in any way, because then you aren't fully independent.
Yeah, and that's your MO all over the board. You've got that moon in Aquarius, Mercury in Scorpio, Mars in Libra. That's all like the Mars in Libra is doing that kind of like cardinal thing of like, I'm going to do what I have to do to balance it out. And if you're not giving me as much affection, then I'm not going to give you as much affection and blah, blah, blah. And then your Aquarius moon is like, oh my God, definitely don't show this person how much you care about them. Definitely don't be vulnerable. And then Mercury and Scorpio is like, must plan out everything in the most strategic way possible.
That's so true. That's so funny. I feel like with being like a Sagittarius, though, you might jump into things really quick. And like that might get you into a lot of shit. Like maybe you jump into things very quick and in a very detached manner. And then you just like kind of hurt people along the way, possibly. Also, you probably are into somebody maybe younger than you. And I think that has a lot to do with like that Venus and Capricorn kind of like power dynamic as well.
I think you're so young that you're probably not at the point that legally you can be into
That's
people
true.
who are younger than you.
That's a good point. You're, how old are you? You're 20.
Well, like legally you could be into someone who's like 2 years younger than you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even in high school, maybe he dated somebody that was like a freshman when he was a senior. You know what I mean?
Right, maybe.
Like that kind of thing.
I don't know, but Venus and Capricorn isn't dating in high school.
They're not dating in high school. You're absolutely right. But that doesn't mean that they might not be interested. Is it? Yeah, it's trying your Saturn. You're definitely waiting it out. Let's see here. Oh, God, stop it, phone. Okay. Moon in Aquarius. What is to roast with that? Like, I don't know.
Moon in Aquarius. Well, it's Moon in Aquarius in the 3rd house. So honestly, that's like kind of, it's complementary in that way. It's like air moon, air house.
You are the biggest know-it-all at school ever. You are like the child know-it-all. That's what it was. You're like in school, you're like, and everybody was like, shut the fuck up. You probably talked a lot. Or maybe you were the person that was like, I don't know. No, you're a Sagittarius. You weren't this way. That's a lie. But you did feel like you probably were like, maybe you were like a child genius or something.
What else have you got? You've got Uranus.
Uranus in there, and they're all well aspected.
You've got big genius vibes.
Yeah.
Big child genius vibes. And it's a drag if you're not that, because then it's like you're just not living up to the potential of your chart.
Or what it could be is like you have a lot of potential to be very smart and a genius and all that stuff, but yet you can't do like simple things. Like you can't do simple schoolwork, like simple math problems or like filling out paperwork, but yet you can like take apart stuff and put it back and like you have a very like, what is it, like technology mind? Like were you somebody who like built your own computer when you were young or something?
But also there's no Virgo Pisces. That's your interception. And nobody really misses Virgo Pisces that much. But when it comes to like creativity and ingenuity and like nerdiness, that's missing out from you for like your genius thing. And then you've got Neptune in the 2nd house.
Well, I think that
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that the missing Virgo actually emphasizes the inability to do things like math and paperwork and like spelling and able to do the technology stuff, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, not having Virgo Pisces, do you have also like no sense of rhythm? I'm wondering, or like, no kind of like, and there's got to be like a lack of a music ability there, right?
And then Neptune in the 2nd house, so it's like weird. Because then you're thinking that like, well, your value is in how creative and like spiritual you are, but it was missing in your development or something like that. I want to drag your parents because like Aquarius moon is pretty easy to drag. And then you have Saturn retrograde. Do you have any planets intercepted? Do you have any?
You have a sun in the 12th house.
And sun in the 12th house. Yeah. Daddy issues.
For sure.
And
maybe that's why you go on to be the daddy, because you have daddy issues, so now you feel like you need to like take that role.
Or you have to look for your daddy.
That's true. One of the other. But with Neptune in there, I feel like you're gonna be so bad with money that you want somebody else giving you money.
Yeah, you'll fluctuate.
Sun in Sagittarius in the 12th house opposite Jupiter. So I knew somebody with their sun opposite Jupiter, and they were telling me this funny story. They're like, do you literally just like get woken up because you're so hungry and your stomach's growling so loud? I felt like that was such a sun opposite Jupiter thing, where it's just like, I don't know, it's like you just need excess, you know? And if you don't have if you don't have the littlest thing that you need. Like if you don't have what am I trying to say? Like I'm Shaina. I don't have any bad Jupiter aspects. If I'm hungry, I'm just hungry for a bit and that's all it is. But if you're like hungry for a bit or like lacking in anything, it like direly affects you and like your whole being. And it's just so melodramatic. Especially Sun in Sagittarius in the 12th house is very not good at most things, in the sense of not able to like focus, not able to pin anything down, start a project and like go through with it all the way. Like you're just constantly living in your fantasies, constantly like dreaming up these like huge scenarios, like amazing, like, oh my God, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, like, if you're thinking about you want to play the guitar, you're going to be like, I'm not going to play the guitar. I'm going to be a rock star and I'm dreaming of this big scenario and I'm living this fantasy. But like, yeah, this is what I'm meant to do in life. Years later, like, this is what I'm meant to do in life. But it's like, have you ever picked up a guitar? And you're like, no, but this is what I'm supposed to do, you know?
I mean, take a look at that Leo midheaven. If that's supporting it, I don't know what is. Oh my God, what's your North Node is in Cancer in the 8th house. That's intense.
Oh, yeah.
Which also means that your South Node is in Capricorn in the 2nd house, which means that you have to let go of your greediness. You have to let go of your attachment to material possessions. You got to live and be a monk. And you also need to like become like a more feminine person, get in touch with your feminine self, which Aquarius moon does not want to do. You don't want to get into your mushy gushy feelings.
Neither does Sag Sun.
Or a Sag Sun, yeah. But
none
like
of your placements do.
Yeah, none of it. None of that. You don't have any water in, or you have Mercury and Scorpio. But even Mercury and Scorpio doesn't want to get mushy gushy. It just wants to get like deep and intense and like tell me all your secrets.
Yeah, I feel like you're all about like everybody else's shit, but you would never confront your own stuff with that kind of combination. Also, I feel like with Cancer North Node, it's just like trying to tell you to like, hey, you should care about people. You should try to like be aware of them and stop being so selfish. Because I feel like a lot of your chart, you act upon like your wants, and especially Aquarius moon can be like, oh, they said that I have to do this. Well, fuck you. I don't want to. So I'm definitely not doing it, you know? So you can just be really like mean to people because you're so involved in like, I'm doing what I want when I want to because I'm a free person, that like you feel like you step on people because you're like, you can't cage me or tell me what to do, that you just wind up kind of like taking that too far. That's not the case with like everybody, but I feel like with your placements and your just combination of stuff, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of the commonality of I compare Scorpio and Cancer a lot to each other because they're both creatures that have exoskeletons. And both of them have to do with like, well, 8th house specifically has to do with like giving up your individuality, giving up your possessions, giving up what is yours and giving it to the other person. And then like Cancer is literally the mother, so it's like giving up your body to nurture something else. So your whole life path is just like give up any self-interest, and give to others. And that's a real light interpretation of your North Node. What else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. You want to look at like the fact that you're a Sagittarius with the Sagittarius rising. So you're very, very Jupiter, right? Your Jupiter rules your chart. And then you want to look at your Jupiter, which is in its detriment, retrograde.
Yeah. Detriment and retrograde, and also like really poorly aspected. It's like not having the easiest time. I don't know, I feel like with your Jupiter having so much Sag energy and then having your Jupiter be so like stuck, like I don't know how to explain this. Like Jupiter in Gemini is very small-minded, kind of restricting Jupiter, and then Jupiter in the 6th house I feel like also kind of does a similar thing of like pay attention to the little things, you know, but like make the little things a huge deal kind of situation. And then with it retrograde, you just feel like any sort of like luck or jubilance if that's a word you have, is not able to be accessed on the outside. And so I feel like a lot of it is just like maybe you overly learn about little things that don't matter. Like you're so overly concerned with these small things and you get so bent up on it. And I think your Jupiter is also opposite your Mercury. Is that true? No, that's not true. Yes, it is true. Your Mercury is opposite your Jupiter. So like Mercury in Scorpio dives so deep and like gets really obsessed and really into things. And then Jupiter and Gemini in the sixth house is like the little details, the little stuff. So I feel like you have a lot of trouble, as much as you're a Sagittarius, of seeing the big picture of things and getting so lost in like the big picture of the little things. Like they left their meal out, so that must actually mean that they hate me, and so I'm going to restrict love for them because they have, you know, because they obviously were trying to say a lot more things and that trying to get to the depth of what that actually means and what they're actually trying to say. And it's like maybe they just left their plate out and you're too concerned with it.
Yeah, and more than just the big picture, Jupiter is about like karma in a way. It's about like your doing thing. Karma is like doing things without expecting anything in return. And that's why Gemini puts Jupiter in its detriment, because Gemini is all about like trade, community. Like I give you my tomatoes and you give me my celery. You give me this information and I give you this, but it's always like a trade. And so to have that in the seventh house, in Gemini retrograde, you just have no concept of like how to, and this goes back to like your life purpose, the concept of like giving freely, not expecting anything in return. And having it retrograde too, it's like, oh, great, you have Jupiter ruling your whole chart. You're a Sagittarius sun, Sagittarius rising. Amazing. But when it comes down to it, you don't believe in any of the like luck. And big picture also has to do with like looking at the big picture of the universe. Like, oh no, I don't know, my coffee wasn't delivered in time and it's getting sent back, but oh, in the grand scheme of things, I should quit caffeine and this is a good thing for me, you know? Stuff like that. Like Gemini is like, no, 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 no. But it's like seeing the big picture is like, oh, the universe is working with me. And Jupiter retrograde does not understand that the universe is working with you.
Yeah, also like you were saying with Jupiter and Gemini, that whole thing of like, I get something, I give you something in return. It needs to be a trade. It can't just be like a give. And then in the sixth house, it's like that kind of also feels like if you serve somebody, you want to be served for in return. I feel like that kind of adds that kind of mentality. And that I feel like just emphasizes what we keep on saying, which is like your selfishness, in the sense of I feel like you're somebody who is like, what gets in the way of me is always other people. It's always other people. It's never me. It's always people wanting something, or like people needing money, or like the fact that I have to all, think about their rules or their authority too, because you have Mars in 11th house. You don't want to deal with like people like that either. And I feel like there's just like, again, that selfishness in you and like my way or the highway. And what else was, and then with Saturn in Taurus, I feel like that also makes you extra stingy as well, which adds to your kind of like money issue of like mine kind of situation. Yeah. What's your Saturn aspects?
Specifically that you want us to drag? Because now I'm remembering that in your order, you said that you wanted us like to drag your 12th house stuff.
Oh, well, then there you go. Pluto in the 12th house is like not a fun drag. It's like a deep drag of like, sorry you don't feel like you have your own power. Sorry you feel like you're powerless to people and you don't feel like you own yourself, or you're able to kind of like stand up for yourself, and you have a terrible like nightmares and like a very scary like haunted brain that keeps you up all the time.
Yeah, and Mercury in the 12th house is probably the most fun drag as far as 12th house placements go, because it's just like you have this big theme and like your Uranus in the 3rd house and stuff like that. Like you just come off as like stupid when you're not.
That's true.
You come off as spacey. And also, what is sleep? How How did you get up at this time? Maybe you're on the East Coast or something, because what is sleep? You're not sleeping. You know what's actually happening with me? Because I have Gemini in the 12th house. And the North Node is in Gemini in the 12th house at the moment in the sky. And like obviously we're in quarantine, so nothing's keeping me accountable to like wake up at a certain time. So it'll be like, I'll try to go to bed at midnight, and then it'll be like 2 a.m, and I'm like, oh my God, I should watch a whole season of Married at First Sight.
That's what I need to do.
It's what I need to do. I need to figure out how this ends, because I looked at the spoilers and I wasn't really into the season, but now that I looked up the spoilers, I want to see how it all plays out and blah, 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 blah. So it's 8 a.m. where you are. Oh yeah, you're in New Zealand. Did you go to bed?
I was watching this video with like Grimes and what she eats in a day, and she was like, how I have to wake up is like I wake up and then I pop 2 caffeine pills and then I go to sleep and wait for the caffeine to wake me up.
Oh my God.
Something that might help you. Also, with Mercury opposite Saturn, did you have some kind of like speech impediment or speech delay or some issue with your speech? You said, I just opened my eyes 5 minutes before we started. Makes sense. Comfiest in your bed, just open your laptop, roll over, and you're good. Do you talk a lot in your sleep too? Did you ever have an issue with that? We have like just a second more. Mars and Libra, that I feel like is not helping all of your, as much as it's like trining all your stuff, I feel like it's making you so much more passive in the sense of you being like, oh, this is who I am, fuck you, la da da da. And then your Mars and Libra is like a lot more willing to be like, it's pretty, I feel like it's a lot stronger than most Mars and Libras because it's in the 11th house. And so I feel like that just kind of amps up a sort of like hatred of Mars and Libra. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like it's not helping in the sense of you're supposed to like stick by your guns, and a lot of times you do. And so maybe sometimes you'll falter to like what other people want, but in reality, you won't actually do it out of the kindness of your heart. You'll do it out of the obligation of a Mars and Libra. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is your Mars square Venus as well?
Yeah. But yeah, so that was your reading or your drag me, Michael.
Yes, I hope that you liked it.
I'm glad you got up just in time for it.
No. Good for you, good for everybody.
I'm surprised you agreed to an 8 a.m. I would never agree to that.
I know, but like you're in New Zealand, so it's tough. I mean, you said that you were fine with whatever time.
And yeah, it's all house, and you're like, I'm fine with whatever time.
You're also missing Virgo, so you're like, I don't know how to take care of myself so that I'm not dying at 8 a.m, even though I don't sleep. I just gotta do what I gotta do. Virgo's not there to help me out.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for your support and your purchase and everything. We hope you enjoyed and we dragged. Our drags were at least kind of accurate.
Yes. And now at 1:25 or whatever Austin makes his presence known, we'll start on the next drag. But also there's the fact that there's no content on here except for drag me's. But if you guys don't know, which I feel like anyone who watches live drag me's are like the real ones. They're like probably following us on Instagram and everything. But both me and Shaina now have personal channels where we're uploading content. So if you're missing out on that good old Nina and Shaina content, even though we can't do it together, we're doing it separately. So you can go to Runaway Germ on YouTube, and you can go to Nina.
Yeah, just our Instagram names. It's the same thing.
Yeah, same with our Instagrams. So yeah, maybe I'll rate it in the chat for anyone because we don't have a description at the moment.
Somebody asked about the Drag Me stuff. It's on our website at partytrickastrology.com/shop. It might be, I don't know if our drag me's are out of stock right now, but everything's about to be back in stock on the 1st of the month. So if there's something you want and you can't get it, it'll be very soon. Oh, Austin said, I'm here. I showed up right about the time Nina said no one really misses Pisces Virgo, so felt like I got a freebie. That's funny. Oh, sorry. Okay.
So let's get right to it. So here's what's funny is that Michael is the reverse sun and moon as me, as in like I'm a Aquarius sun, Sagittarius moon. He's a whatever the fuck we just said. Sagittarius and Aquarius moon. And you are just the sun and moon and a lot of my progress chart of what I was. Recently my moon has changed. But and also my internet is freaking out and I'm not able to see your chart at the moment. But I know that you're a Pisces sun, Libra moon, which is what I was up until about a week ago.
Oh my God, that was stuck for so long.
That was the most dramatic sneeze.
I always have dramatic sneezes.
No, I've known you for like 5 years, but that was the most dramatic sneeze I've ever heard in my life.
It might have just like amplified it because of the thing. Anyways, are you still having trouble? Do you want me to send you a screenshot?
It's back.
Okay. Let's see here. Cancer rising. Well, you have that double Cancer, right? The double Cancer in your first and second house. Huh?
Aquarius rising.
Whoa, I just realized the time didn't get inputted. Oh my God, it inputted 12 p.m. Hold on. What's the time?
Oh, what is the time? It is 4:37 a.m.
Sorry about that. If you click unknown now on accident on AstroTheme, it automatically sets it to 12 p.m. even if you inputted it. So I think that's what happened because that got me the other day too. Okay, here we go.
So, what have we got here, Mr. Austin?
Let's see. Pisces sun in the second house, Libra moon in the 8th house. Is your Libra moon intercepted? Yes. So I've Virgo taking over your 8th house, you're gonna like overthink all of your like kind of deeper emotions and like really probably try to break them down. And like same with like your relationships, you probably all of a sudden get like really picky and finicky when you like decide to kind of like, because obviously you're Libra moon, so you're like, I want a relationship. I'm a Pisces sun, Libra moon, relationships are where I want to be. Leo in my 7th house, so I find myself through relationships. I want somebody to bow down to me and praise me all the time. And then when you get in relation, so you're like all fun, and everybody's like, yeah, Austin's like so fun. And then you like get into the relationship, and they're like,
Yeah, Libra moon is tough when you've got a Pisces sun and a Pisces Venus, because you think of like, because Libra moon is starved. The moon does not like being in Libra. And Pisces, all this Pisces energy, you think of like, oh, you just want to dive deep into love and yes, but then your moon is intercepted in Libra in the 8th house. So like what it says is that either your family or your mom didn't like portray to you how to be in love, like what a relationship should look like, or even how to be emotional, how to be vulnerable, how to share yourself with others. And so your Pisces energy, therefore, including your Venus, instead of like having the full capacity to just like dive deep into another person and be in love, what ends up happening is that it turns into that more reclusive Pisces energy of just like, well, instead of just giving my all and everything into my lover, I'm just going to dream about what it would be like to have a partner, to have a spouse, and live happily ever after. When really, I don't have the tools to help me do that. You said, let me quote an ex. Not everything is so damn complicated. It can just be what it is.
You're like, no, everything is extremely complicated and there are intricacies and let me break it all down and da-da-da-da. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've always said about Virgo taking over the house that Libra is intercepted in is just like, you don't understand people. And, you know, Pisces, Aquarius rising, that's like very much like in the ether or just like oddball, where you don't really understand like what people are, like a humanity different, but like humanity different, but
yeah.
like people and interpersonal relationships, and you're just like, what are those? So then Virgo comes in and is like, since you don't know this, we're going to watch all the TED Talks, we're going to read all of the psychology, especially in the 8th house. Oh my God, you're just like,
Kind of logicalize it.
I don't understand how to interact with people or why people do the things that they do. So I'm just going to read all the psychology books and sociology books and TED Talks that tell me what people are doing and what they're saying and how to go about what I need to do. And then your Venus in Pisces is like, oh my God, I know X, Y, and Z, but I just feel like I want to be with this person. So like, what are those? Essentially.
I never like do this in the sense of like assume things because it doesn't really matter. But I was wondering if you're, because maybe you actually put it in the thing, but I was wondering if you're gay, and if you're not, I was wondering if you appear to be, because I feel like that's.
Is Venus in the first house?
Yeah, Venus in Pisces, and also just having a Pisces Sun, Libra Moon, Gemini 5th house, and then like, I don't know, the Neptune and Jupiter in the 11th, Uranus in the 10th. Something's odd about you or different. I don't know.
You wrote in the thing you are gay.
I'm so proud of myself. Not that, but
I'm doing the same thing too.
But with with Virgo taking over Libra, it's like you're just gonna try to analyze everybody instead of kind of like not analyze, but like analyze the, like what Nina was saying, like list, like watching TED Talks and being like, then applying that to people, and instead of like kind of trying to, not that you don't try to, that's false, but instead of just understanding people and stuff, you'll try to analyze it too much. So that might make you make wrong decisions because you're like, well, last time somebody said this, they were thinking this. So then that goes in your head. And so you might do that again, but then it's a different person. So things get, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, put it in there in the intercepted Aries. Talked about that in my advanced read. And just like a very, oh yes, I remember that. Just like wanting to bond with somebody so much, but have such a fear of it. And like, just if you ever do get close to somebody, you probably will do like a lot of Libra stuff of like, it's all okay, everything's fine, even if it's not, even if this relationship is doomed, it absolutely, like, this is fine that they keep on walking over me, I'm just gonna keep on serving them and helping them, blah blah blah. But in person, people really pick up my. Oh, sorry, I was reading that.
Also, a big party trick is the fact that you have Uranus retrograde, which is big gay vibes. It's like a weird read on like a lot of times people with Uranus retrograde are gay.
Yeah, because it has to do with like you were taught with one set of values, and then maybe when you grew up or got out of your kind of home and you kind of switched things and like came out into yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you have to like, because you were born in Georgia, so that's pretty Bible Belt as far as I know. So like, there's also that need to like hold in what makes you different, and like have it turned inward. Mm-hmm. But in person, people rarely pick up on me being gay till I tell them, so I don't come across that way. Well, you've got that masculine rising, and it's a little like your Venus isn't on your ascendant. Mm-hmm. You have masculine rising, it's in a masculine sign, and your Venus is in the first house, but it's not even in the same sign, and it's not on the ascendant. And let's look at some like ascendant aspects as well.
Well, I was going to quickly drag Neptune and Jupiter in the 11th house because, my God, this is like this weird combination of associating with everything that has to do with the masses and like your own kind of segment of pop culture, but then constantly like disassociating with yourself and feeling like your identity is wrapped up in whatever kind of group or humanity or whatever thing that you identify with. And you can very much, like, already being a Pisces, lose your identity in for the sake of kind of taking on what's around you and like empathizing with people so much. But you also, I feel like, do that in such a grander sense than most Pisces. And I feel like you're constantly just kind of like losing yourself in your friend groups and like really becoming the people you're around. Like, Nina was saying something about like you're the mean of the 5 people that you're most around the other day or something along those lines.
You're the mean of the 5 people you surround yourself most with.
Yeah, and so I feel like you're that to the nth degree. Like you're also the mean of all the people you follow on social media, the Tumblr blogs that I'm sure you used to follow. I don't know how old you are. Yeah, oh wait, you're 1984. But like something like that. Like you are the mean of like everybody you encounter for better or for worse, and so you also might like judge yourself for like without that Libra, you might like also as well overly judge the people you associate for what their actions are, because you probably feel like their actions are a direct reflection of you and almost like your actions. So I feel like you also might try to like maybe you like might even lose relationships because of how people make you look, which is a very like Libra moon kind of thing. I now have to go look at all my male friends' charts for Uranus retrograde BRB. That's funny.
Actually have a lot of Venus energy the more you look at it, because you have Venus in your first house, you have your sun in the second house, and you have a Libra moon. And but that's all like saying the fact that it's all like, except for your sun in the second house, none of this Venus energy is fixed. It's and with a Pisces sun in the second house, it also doesn't make it so fixed. And what happens is that like with I find this all the time with like Pisces suns or mutable suns in general, and especially when it's paired with like a Saturn thing going on, which Saturn co-rules Uranus, so your chart is Saturn co-rules Aquarius, so your chart is co-ruled by Saturn, and then you have your sun in the second house. It's all like you have, and it's sort of what Shaina was saying, but in terms of like not even just the people that you surround yourself with, but in terms of the society and what society tells you is valuable, gets really ingrained in your sense of self and your sense of self-worth. Because you have a really big tie to your sense of self-worth being your sense of self, and you have like self-worth themes written all over with all this Venus stuff, with Libra moon, and that's intercepted, so it's troubled, and Venus in the
Fourth
first
house
house
in Taurus.
and yeah, fourth house in Taurus and sun in the second house. Like self-worth is a big theme for you, and because you have like this mutable energy and this troubled energy surrounding like Venus things and self-worth, it's like you just absorb so much of like what society tells you is what makes you valuable. Like in women, I see this all the time, especially with like Libra moons, as like diet culture and stuff like that, and really like feeding into
that,
attaching to that. And men also feed into that, but usually like athletic men, like men who are athletes, especially like wrestlers and stuff like that, are the ones that feed the most into diet culture and stuff like that. So it might not hit the nail on the head saying that, but like something like that is happening with you.
Yeah, I feel like just in every way that you look, you have major identity issues, and that's already ingrained in a Pisces sun. But having Pisces squaring your Neptune and your Pisces sun, like Nina was saying, all in the self-worth, and then that Neptune in the 11th house of like that associations, I think that speaks to exactly what you were saying with like the whole, if it's not diet culture, it's just probably like how you should be, how you should look, how whatever external influence that you're receiving at that moment, possibly from your parents, is the influence that you feel like you should become. And it's probably very different than who you actually are, because your sun is squaring your Neptune. So I feel like you constantly have like disassociation problems, identity problems, and just having a lot of trouble really pinning down your like values and your morals, even though that's what you spend all your time trying to figure out. You just see them as so movable and changeable that you can become that way too. And then having like a second sun in the 7th house, because Leo's there, emphasizes more of that like need for relationship, need for somebody to reflect off of, need for somebody to kind of like bounce who you are off of, if that makes sense. Like my roommate has Mercury in the 2nd house, and he's always like, I need somebody to kind of bounce my opinions off of, to like say them to and like see their reaction. So I feel like you are that way as well, but not only just that, but like with who you are, probably what you wear, everything like that. What's really funny to me is like you have a very kind of like, the rest of your chart is like your Pisces sun Libra moon, if I just saw that, I'd be like, what? Like, I actually know somebody with this, not very well, but I do know somebody. I'm like, what a blindly optimistic person. What a blindly just kind of likes anything kind of person. And that's what I would normally think is this combination. But then you look to your 9th house and it's just like all of the malefic energies ever. So I feel like instead of doing that Pisces Sun Libra moon of liking everything, I feel like that makes you that just adds, I feel like a lot of hatred and a lot of anger to your chart, because I feel like you have very like nihilistic views of the world and very like negative restrictive possibly views or something like that. Or maybe you just kind of have like you kind of maybe lack hope even.
Yeah, you said doing a lot better with it now, but yeah, been down that rabbit hole and eventually came out fairly grounded with self-worth, image, love stuff. I'm really glad if that's the case for you, especially because it is literally your life path to be grounded with your North Node in Gemini in the 4th house. So it's like you can just be really all over the place. And yeah, that again is that South Node in the 10th house of just like my life is my status, is what other people see in me and how I can prove my worth to the world around me. And kind of getting in touch with Gemini in the 4th house. We might have talked about this in your advanced reading. Is just like all of that, get grounded. And it is also a little bit of like the positive of being the mean of the people that you surround yourself with, but like closing in that circle so that you only have people that you like truly love, and only being the mean of the people that you truly love instead of like all the people that you surround yourself with. Exactly. You said I was a blindly optimistic person, then life, and became the opposite, but swinging back towards the greater good outlook.
That makes sense.
That's great. Astrology is so great because it can give you the greater good outlook.
Absolutely. And that makes sense that like it probably didn't hit until you went off to college or something, because it is the 9th house. So it was probably like almost felt like a phase of that kind of stuff. And also what I was going to say is, I wonder if your sun has progressed into like your first house by now, which is why you might feel more like fairly like grounded with the self-worth and image stuff. That's just like a side note. But let me see here. What aspects now we mostly just talked about the big Mercury moon opposition and the interception. So go for it. That makes sense. Let me see here.
Yeah, because like
this isn't like much of a drag on you, but it's just like Venus for midheaven. I have this aspect, and you're probably just found that like growing up or even just in general in life, you're constantly being like given these tasks and projects to do, and they're so against your strong suits, and you're constantly just like working against your strong suits, working a bit against your abilities, working against the things that like creatively naturally come to you, and having to do something else because like people see you in a different way. And I guess like with Scorpio at 29 degrees versus a Pisces Venus, I don't know, like maybe it's just like the Pisces Venus in you wants to be super accepting and loving towards everybody, but then the Scorpio midheaven feels obligated to like be more questioning, you know?
Yeah, Scorpio is more like withdrawn, whereas like Pisces is like, here's my whole heart and soul for you. Mm-hmm. So you probably feel like you need to be more, it's like more powerful. Yeah.
Instead of like Pisces like giving up power.
Yeah, and like interpreting power in different ways, because there's lots of power in Pisces, but not kind of like it's spiritual power, and it's like what spiritual people would regard as powerful. Like once you accept unconditional love, you're the most powerful person in the world. Whereas like midheaven, Capricorn, real world stuff is like once you own a business and have a bunch of people working under you, you're the most powerful person in the world. So it's like that.
Let's see. I wonder if you're probably like I feel like your Mercury was intercepted because you talked so much growing up, because like your Mercury is in Aries, it's squaring your Jupiter, it's squaring your Neptune. So you probably, and it has a lot of good aspects. So you probably just jab, 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 jab. And people were like, you can't say that. How dare you? Like maybe you even like as a kid, like there was maybe cussing and you like cussed and then it was like a huge deal that you had like a potty mouth and like anything you said was kind of shunned, or maybe you asked too direct of questions and like sometimes teachers won't like that because like you might be exposing something or just being too upfront. So that could have been maybe why you were quieted or why your Mercury's intercepted. Pisces Venus stuff wants to dive in, and Scorpio is sticking his toe in to make sure the water isn't too cold, guarded from past hurts. That makes sense. Yeah, Pisces is just so quick and willing.
It's like Pisces also is like, if I get hurt, I'll bounce back.
Yeah, and Scorpio's like, I can never bounce back if I get hurt. I'll never be the same. This is like a dumb drag, but I feel like any picture you post needs to have a filter on it. And like you probably maybe even try to like secretly put a filter on it, try to like not maybe as extreme, vibe it down so people don't see it, because you're not like a Pisces rising with Venus and Pisces in the first house. But I know Pisces rising in the first house, that every picture she posts is like has to have a very subtle filter on it, and I always call her out on it.
Is your Neptune conjunct your midheaven or
No.
Oh wait, that's 11, not 9. Psh, idiot. At me.
What else?
Is there anything specifically that you want us to drag?
Let's see. With an intercepted Libra Aries, but then double Taurus Scorpio, I feel like that does not help your Pisces Venus in the sense of wanting a relationship, needing a relationship, and being so quick to dive into the commitment side of the relationship, and just so willing to like give yourself over to somebody. Like I feel like you're very willing to almost be possessed, and that I feel like can be a very Pisces trait of being like wanting to give yourself over to somebody and wanting to be taken. And so when you don't have that like Aries to stand up for yourself, but instead you have double Taurus, you're so much more willing to like kind of keep on getting like rolled over, keep on getting talked over, keep on getting like just forgotten about for the sake of the relationship, because you're like, I picked this person, so therefore we got to keep going, and I know I'm right, and I refuse to not be right about this person because that'll be worse than me continue. Like I'd rather continue to seem as though I'm right about this person and get completely stepped on than say, hey, I'm wrong, and admit defeat and get out of that situation. Like that's worse to you.
Yeah, because to have double Scorpio as well, that's all that's giving you is like this Scorpio thing of being like, I can endure anything.
Yeah, I can deal with anything. Like I can deal with any kind of pain as much as you want.
So that's how you deal with things, is just like with the attitude of like, well, I can take it. Instead of like having something like not fixed, like something cardinal, and like, I'm going to do something about it. But no, it's just like, well, I can't endure anything. I'll just stay here and kind of like endure it out. Like when you watch like The Challenge and stuff like that, and they're just like needing to, and they're like, oh, the only thing that you have to do with this challenge is press this button for 24 hours. And like double Scorpio is like, I can do that.
I can endure anything.
Whereas like Aries is like, what? Put my hand on a button for 24 hours? Can't you give me something to tackle?
Bring the pain, dump it on me. I take all your pain too. Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, and that is the end of your drag me. It was great to have you back, Austin. We hope that this was insightful and fun and accurate for you. And now we're just going to hang out here until Maddie makes herself known in the chat.
Yes, and thank you so much for the repeat purchase. That's so sweet. Thank you for supporting us. And yeah. Let me pull up Maddie's charts. I'll be over here picking these scabs I can't let go of from that thing you did 5 years ago. Yeah. Especially the picking of the scab thing is so Scorpio. I feel like that's just major Scorpio energy in general. I've never picked a scab. I do that with acne, but as far as like body scabs, I've never done that. But I feel like that's like no Scorpio. But I feel like every Scorpio is like.
No, where did your heart go, Maddie? Come back. Oh, there it is. Oh, thanks, Austin. Love you too.
I was watching this like, well, we're not. Well, nothing's happening. Me and my roommates were watching these like videos of just like people, of gatherings of people going on right now. And there's this one guy on Instagram who he normally does like kind of on the street stuff, whatever, like with a microphone, blah, blah, blah. And now he's been doing like going to coronavirus, kind of like Maddie's here, about rallies. And there's just one where there was like a shit ton of people that the cameraman didn't even know what to film because they were so overwhelmed by the amount of people that they were around that it was like, what do we even do? Anyways, that's all.
So, Maddie, by the way, it wasn't, when I went to put in your chart information, Falls Church was not coming up. So I put in Arlington. So I hope that everything is still kind of like the same. So you're a Pisces rising and you have a Leo, Aquarius, Interception. Is that right?
That's what I have, 1 degree Pisces rising. And I was able to find Falls Church.
Okay. Well, Falls Church, I'm from the DMV area too, Maddie. So I know that Falls Church and Arlington are pretty close together.
Yeah, I think you're good though. Okay, here, let's see here. So you have this fun, free Pisces rising, so spiritual, so unrestricted, la 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 la. And then Saturn is conjunct your rising retrograde in the 12th house, intercepted, just putting a stop on all that fun, all that free flowing energy, all the carelessness and the giving yourself up and letting things go and taking it moment by moment. You wish you try to put on that kind of vibe, but there's always something in the back of your head going, what about this? Don't forget about this. Maddie, you have to do this. And then you're just like, can I pretend? I'm just going to keep on ignoring it because my Saturn is retrograde and intercepted and it's in Aquarius, so I just deal with stuff by ignoring it, la 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 la, even though it's gonna come crashing down on me and my psyche and subconscious any moment. That's my first.
Yeah, it's like everyone was like, when you were a little baby and you were born, and everyone was like, oh my God, she's so calm, she's so peaceful, she just loves everything, she's such an easy baby. And then you grew up and you're like, I'm not an easy baby. I've got tons of anxiety and shit going on in me, and I need attention, and I am loud and like all this stuff, but like everyone's telling me that I'm just like a sweet, perfect, easy baby. So I just gotta take it on. I gotta adopt this being a sweet, easy baby thing. That's what everyone has always told me what I am. So like, why don't I feel like that? I mean,
yeah. With that Virgo moon, especially in the 7th house, like you come across so easygoing, but you're so high maintenance and you have so many little ticks. And also like you are the definition of like having a checklist of what you want in a person. And your parents or your mom probably instilled that in you, like instilled the perfect person, the perfect relationship, Libra in the 8th house even. And Virgo in the 7th house, like your person needs to have no flaws, needs to be like a smoothed over doll, basically, with like no harsh edges.
I think that, let me see, is your moon opposite your ascendant?
No.
Okay, well, even so, I think that moon in the 2nd house or 7th house is still like the biggest catfish that there is in astrology.
For sure.
It's like, you can't get any more catfish than like you're literally the opposite in the inside of what you portray to be on the outside. And then in case of Pisces and Virgo, that's a mega catfish because you're portraying like this, I am so like, yes, just like, yes, love filled and like everything's chill. And then like on the inside, you're not chill at all. You're like, I need to manage everything around me, and oh my god, I'm freaking out all the time. That's my little Virgo moon impersonation.
Yeah, you're
and so it's just like a huge catfish. And what's interesting, especially with like earth and water, is that people with 7th house moons already think like, oh, I'm not that emotional, because you need other people to like show you how emotional you are. And then your moon is in an earth sign, right? So that's also like not very like watery, la 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 la, emotions, compassionate, that kind of stuff. So you're like, I'm not emotional. I'm like pretty practical in the way that I go about things, and I'm not like go with the flow. I'm not even like very intuitive. But then like your rising is still like the way that you interact with the world around you. And so you do interact with the world around you in like a very intuitive, like la da 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 free kind of like, oh my god, I'm just like absorbing all of this energy and blah blah blah. So you think that you're so like restricted in your emotions and that you like manage your emotions all the time, but you are such like an open sore out in the world, and like the bacteria of energy gets into your atmosphere so easily because you're a Pisces rising. That was such a mumbo jumbo like Neptune conjunct Mercury thing for me to say, but hopefully it permeated through your Pisces energy and made sense.
You said, I want to be carefree, but I'm not, which is like the theme of your entire chart and almost every angle. And then also your name being spiritual punk is so funny because you got that Pisces rising spiritual, but then like Neptune and Uranus in the 11th house. And I feel like Pluto in the 9th house ruled by Scorpio is very like punk kind of placements to me, because it's like 9th house Pluto and Scorpio, like rejection of kind of any sort of typical beliefs, and like it's very much that kind of like nihilistic, they're like end it all basically like kind of vibe. And then the Capricorn ruling your 11th house, which I feel like punk already gives kind of a Capricorn style. And then with Neptune and Uranus in there, it's just like wanting to be on the side of the revolution. And then Neptune is all about music and all that kind of stuff, and that's just very coincides. But going back to the like, I want to be carefree, but I'm not. You also have your Pisces rising opposite your Leo sun in the 6th house. So you're like, not only is your moon in Virgo wanting everything to be perfect and everything needs to be exactly how you want it to be, but your sun in the 6th house also feels the same way and is also way more like clean than you want to be. Like you need a lot more cleanliness than you wish you did, although it is intercepted, so you do like not really, I feel like, know how to take care of yourself, but that affects you so much. And then having that Leo sun opposite your Pisces moon, or Leo sun opposite your Pisces rising is like, I am just a blob floating through space. I don't need recognition. I don't need this or that, you know. I just am trying to go with everybody and be a part of the process. But then your Leo sun is like, I need to stand out. I need attention. I need items. I need people to tell me I'm pretty. I need people to get me nice things. I need people to affirm me. I need people to do this. And so it's just like so opposite again. You want to come across as though you don't really give a shit. You're just going through life and people are going to make fun, but you don't care. But you do care. You care so much what people have to say about you, and you wish that you didn't.
But also an intercepted Leo sun isn't like, I need people to tell me that I love it. I need people to, it's like, I need people to tell me that they love me. I need people to tell me that I'm amazing. I need people to bow down to me and worship me, but I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it though. I don't deserve to hear all those things. I'm not, but I need it.
Yeah, or even like, I could never tell anybody that I need that. I could never admit to needing it, but I do. Yeah.
And I want to go back to your Pluto in the 9th house, because truthfully, there's nothing more punk than Pluto in the 9th house. Like, yeah. That's the definition of punk. To this like extreme. So Shaina and her roommate have this in their composite chart, And it gets exhausting to hear after a while of just like how much they believe collectively that the world sucks and that there's no hope in the world and that like there's no point to anything existing ever. And it's just like exhausting after a while. It's like, look on the bright side of life. Like you gotta, because there's also like this thing of like when you marry Pluto and Scorpio and ninth house, it's like righteous indignation and like extremely fixed and intense and opinionated. So it's like there's this kind of belief, and this is super punk, of like my beliefs are the only ones that are valid and they're the only ones that are right. There's like no room for like hearing someone else's opinion because the world is doomed and you're the only one who sees how doomed the world is. So like anyone who disagrees with you is just like not woke. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's definitely your interpretation of it. Me and Dan have obviously a lot more extended conversations about our views, and even within that, like I find it's a lot of a different thing. But I think that the main thing with Pluto in the ninth house is just that kind of it's that wanting to destroy something to create something better. You know, it's like if something isn't working, if something is so doomed, and if something is so systematically failing at every level, it needs to be completely destroyed and be recreated to build something stronger. Sometimes putting band-aids on things isn't going to solve the big waterfall coming at you. And that's, I think, Pluto in the ninth house's idea is like this thing, like, and that's kind of punk too, is like, this is so fucked up. This is so messed up. There's not just a simple solution for it. We need extreme radical change. We need something big, something very destructive to be able to make something stronger afterwards, which I feel like you agree with to like a very strong degree. And yeah, I think that, I don't know, that's just
I know, it's just like more of a drag. And I also think that you, Shaina, have like more of that outlook because you have Aquarius in the ninth house. And that's like also a Uranus thing of like questioning what's happening so that you can do something better. But that was a tangent. I didn't mean this to be Shaina and Dan drag. This is
I just wanted to explain it more because I feel like it can get easily like misinterpreted too.
Right, but this is a drag, which is why, you know.
What is your Pluto talking to? Saturn square Pluto, that's not a fun aspect. You're just gonna have a lot of trouble like owning yourself, owning your control, owning who you are, and like giving yourself almost like validity. And I feel like that's a very Pisces rising thing as well. Like having trouble like validating yourself as a person, and then therefore having a trouble validating your power, validating the fact that you can like stand up for yourself and try and like always feeling very controlled by probably maybe this subconscious thing that was like karmically passed down from to you, or possibly feeling controlled by the beliefs of other people because of Pluto in the ninth house. And so you probably feel like a little powerless, and so you're constantly trying to fight and do things like to actively like do things so other people can affirm your power. So on the outside you appear powerful, but never like sitting down and just affirming your own power and your own presence and your own like, yeah, because I'm here, I'm allowed to take up space kind of thing. I feel like you feel like you're not allowed to like take up space in general.
Right, that's like a big sun intercepted to the extreme, especially with it being in Leo, and it's intercepted in the sixth house, and your double is Cancer Capricorn. So the big thing also with like Leo interceptions, and this is obviously emphasized with your Leo sun being intercepted, is that like when Cancer is taking over the house that Leo is intercepted in, the idea is that you can't be yourself or stand up for what your needs are, or like your own interests, because you're constantly in a position that you need to give to others. I was saying this in an earlier drag of like, Cancer is literally the mother. It's like giving up your body so that something else can survive. And when you've intercepted Leo in there and you've intercepted your sun, it's just like giving up your entire like self so that somebody else can survive. And it's in the 6th house too. So it's just like when the universe conspired to make you as a person and set up your chart to dictate how you're going to be as a person, it's just like, we need Maddie to just like exist for other people. Okay, how are we going to do that? Well,
Yeah.
she's a Leo, so we've got to definitely get rid of that Leo stuff, and then that's perfect. We'll have Cancer take over, and she can exist for other people, but we should make her definitely be of service to others. So let's go ahead and conspire it so that it's in the 6th house. Yes, great. She'll have a Pisces rising, so she'll just like be super duper giving and never have any boundaries, and like everyone can take advantage of her, and then she can just like exist for other people because she won't have any of that Leo, and that Cancer will be taking it over. And let's go ahead and throw in a double Cancer in there for her. Like, how does she compensate for not having an identity, an ego? Well, what we can do is that we can make her compensate not having an ego by just giving her all and everything to others. That makes sense, right? Yeah. And how about her own individual interests? Yeah, because she's got no Aquarius. So she can't work out of her own individual interests. Well, we'll give her double Capricorn so that she can work for the man. She can work out of the interests of the man of society.
Yeah, and looking at your son, it's like it's not having a good time at all. And also, I feel like your father was just such a controlling parent. Like, I'm wondering if he was like, he maybe, I'm trying to use it like, he'd be something like a principal of a school. So he was always like laying down the law, but yet he was never around. You know what I mean? He was like always so busy, but yet his control and his rules and what he like expected of you was possibly like still put on you, but he was never around to kind of teach you how to be what he wanted you to be. So you're just doing this kind of like awkward impersonation, because both Sun and Saturn are intercepted. And with your Sun square your Pluto opposite your Saturn and rising, that just like to me screams major control. Like your father himself probably has control issues and put that onto you. I'm also wondering if you're if you're a middle child, possibly. I feel like you have some middle child syndrome.
What I get is like my assumption looking at all of this is that you didn't have a father growing up, or that he left at some point, and that you took on the father role, and that you had to be the person who like again, you're giving your mom and dad, you've got double Cancer, double Capricorn, you've got Saturn in the 12th house, but it's conjunct your rising. And you have no son, and your son is intercepted. So what I feel like happened is that your father left at some point. Your Saturn is retrograde too. It's retrograde in the 12th house. So your father left at some point, and you were like the oldest kid. And so you had to like take on that father role. Like I have a friend who she's also a Virgo moon, and she's the oldest of 4 kids, and her dad left at some point in her childhood. She was like 10 or something, and I see her like interact with like every human being in the world, and I'm like, you can just tell that she's the oldest of 4 kids who didn't grow up with a dad. Like everything is like, make sure that you're getting enough water, but okay. And we're like out on a night out, and she's like, I am going to get really drunk. So you're allowed to get drunk, but you're not allowed to tell me that. And this is probably not the case for you because you've got an intercepted sun, but you're not allowed. I'm going to spend my time tomorrow eating a burrito and like being hungover. So I'm not going to be able to take care of you. So make sure that if you're going to get really drunk tonight, that you don't get so drunk that you need my help in the morning tomorrow. It's just like everything is like mom mode, is like the oldest of 4 kids who didn't have a dad and had to be like that parent. That's what the vibe that I'm getting from you.
Having a Virgo moon mom, you can have a mom that like overcompensates a lot too. Like kind of like what you were saying, like feels like they need to do everything for you, or at least like be so aware, be so, you said, yes, I'm the oldest. My dad is very serious and an economist, was a workaholic growing up. Okay, that makes sense. And so I feel like your mom overcompensated. You have this Venus in Cancer in the fifth house, which is a very like mother placement, as much as like Venus in the fifth house is like fun, with it all in Cancer, completely surrounded by Cancer. It's super like reproduce to have kids, have sex to have kids, have love to have a family, and like nurture them. And that Virgo moon, your mom like almost overcompensating, being so on your ass, being so like, sometimes Virgo moon moms can just be too much there. Like you're like, I kind of like feel you constantly like breathing down my back. But then when in the seventh house, a seventh house moon can kind of do a thing. It's like when you ask your mom for affirmation or to just be on your side, your mom could automatically take the other person's side. And it could be the situation where it's like constantly taking your other sibling side, maybe, or like saying like, well, don't forget about how, you know, you need to take care of them. You need to do this for them. You need to do things for them because I'm always doing things for you. It could be like some guilt from that. In reality, she's just like being your mom, but you feel like it's guilt. You feel guilty for that because she's like taking care of you in any way.
That's so weird. So we grew up in the same area, and my dad is also a very serious economist. So I wonder if they work together, because like in that DC area, he worked at the World Bank as an economist. So maybe our dads work together.
That is true, and that makes sense. Like I said, like he's just like a major workaholic, was doing something, and like so he couldn't be there. So it was basically like you had a lagging of a father, but his rules were still like, yes. You said yes. That is how I felt growing up.
No. Did your dad work at the World Bank? Because like I'm super curious. Or does he work at the World Bank?
She just exposes it. She's like, yes, he works at 132 in this cubicle.
No, I just want to know.
And I'm kidding.
Because that's also like, I know lots of people whose parents worked at the World Bank, and there's like tons of like 8th house, 12th house stuff. Like my ex-boyfriend's mom worked at the World Bank and he had a moon in the 12th house.
I definitely, well, your bragging service doesn't matter for rambling. I definitely see like 8th house stuff being like bank because it's sort of like other people's money, you know?
Well, no, he worked at Fannie Mae, so close.
What's Fannie Mae?
I think that's a bank. No?
That sounds like a clothing, like a maternity clothing store. Fannie Mae? Come on.
I'm not from Nova. I'm from the DMV area, though.
Is Falls Church religious? Because I'm just asking because it literally has church in the name.
Well, it's Virginia, but it's like the more, it's really close to like the part of Virginia that's, it's like the Virginia that's like basically DC. Virginia is a weird state because like it's pretty big and you can be in like a totally metropolitan hip, like the most like political place in the world, or like political connotations, but like literally be in the heart of the city, or you can just like be in total backwoods. Virginia's weird.
But yeah, so that's our last drag me for the day.
Yes. Thank you everyone who bought drag me's that we read for you today. Thank you for your purchases, your support, your patience. Thank you to Austin for being a repeat customer. And I know that I always see Michael also commenting on our live drag me's. So that was very sweet to see his little icon show up for his own drag me. And thank you, Maddie, of course, as well. Shout out to the DMV.
See anybody from Vegas. Have we ever gotten a client from Vegas?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Because nobody's interesting that's there. No. Just me.
Yeah, I hope that everyone enjoyed their reading. If you're missing out on Party Trick Astrology content, you can check out our personal channels. You can follow us on Instagram for updates on that and our lives and stuff like that. Shaina has a Depop shop if you want to shop from there. And yeah, there's tons of Nina and Shaina, even with social distancing and Party Trick Astrology. I know that a lot of states are like slowly reopening, but we're in California, we're in Los Angeles, and this is probably going to take a while for things to get back to normal over here.
Yeah. And my mom's high risk, so I'm social distancing not out of law, but out of want, you know. So we're going to be social distancing for a while.
Yes.
What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I would just say follow. That's what I was gonna say. Just follow us both. It's singularly on Instagram. That's where if you're looking for content from us, we update well on our Instagram. Not the Party Trick Astrology Instagram, but that's also because there's nothing really to update on right now.
Yeah.
But I'm shit at it, but I try to always post whenever we have a video or readings or live. But that's about it.
Yes, so thank you everybody. Yeah, there's really nothing more to say, and I'm just dragging on at this point. And oh yeah, I'm the person who's in charge of finishing this. I always forget like how to fucking do this. Go to more. Okay. Say your final goodbyes, Shaina.
Goodbye. Thank you to everybody who watched and supported us and bought a reading and all that stuff.
Thanks, everybody.